Hello everyone, my name is Cornel Fatulescu. I'm Chief Platform Officer at Pentalog, meaning I'm in charge with products and technology strategy of the group Pentalog. And I'm very happy to be here with you at this new CTO Talk, a special PentaBAR where we ask questions about technology leadership, basically mostly the same set of questions that I prepared with my colleagues, and we look at different answers from real people doing technology leadership in the field, and we seek for those differences and we try to compare the answers so that eventually we'll also have an analysis that we'll share with you after we have enough CTO talks. And that's just a part of what will happen during the CTO talk. Another part is your questions. So we are going to ask you kindly to write your questions, shoot them in the chat, and I will ask Aniela to be so kind and answer to them. And if she's trying to answer one of my questions, I will wait for her to finish the answer, and then I will go to your questions. And the more questions you ask, the better. And yeah, that's it. I hope you'll enjoy this session. Aniela, please join the stage. Say a few words about yourself and about OLX Group.
Hi, Cornel. Very nice to see you again. Very nice to be here. I'm very excited about this series. I've been looking for what you're doing, and I think that it's very, very important that we have this kind of conversation so we can learn from each other, and that we really see how this role shapes up. So I'm Aniela. I'm technology leader. So I'm leading the engineering team for motors at OLX Europe. I will explain more about also what does it mean really. I'm born and raised in Cluj-Napoca in Romania, and then I moved to Portugal almost 10 years ago. I joined OLX, and then I've been growing. I've been moving to different stages of my career. I helped the business to go to or to move to different stages of growth. So I can say that I've been to a lot during this time. And what exactly is OLX Group or my team is doing? So OLX, it's a group. Some of you might know some of the brands. Basically, the main thing that we are working on is classifieds. The main thing that we are doing is connecting buyers and sellers. We are enabling trading. We are helping people to buy and sell cars, to find housing, get jobs, goods, and much more. But we have 20 different brands, and these are across the whole globe. And we are in 30 countries. My team, the Motors one, it's working on the Motors brands, of the Motors ecosystem type of thing. So basically, we are helping people to buy, sell cars, or car parts, or anything that is related with this part of the business. Our main countries where we have the operations, it's Poland, Romania, Portugal, but then we are also verticalizing inside OLX. OLX, it's the generic classifieds platform. You have different categories there, and then we are verticalizing the categories in the countries where we have OLX. So this is more, 8 countries, I think, across Europe. And I'm leading this engineering team. So how we call it in terms of roles, it's engineering director, but basically I'm leading the engineering team for this unit, for the Motors customer unit.
Okay, and engineering director.
Yes, exactly. This is the title.
Yeah, what does it mean? What are the responsibilities?
In terms of, basically it's when we have engineers, they're moving to the managerial track, we have different steps. So the first step is managing individual contributors. That means that we call them engineering managers. So those are the ones that they are managing directly engineers, and they work together with the product manager in a cross-functional team. Then we have a group of teams that we call them tribes. So for now, usually they have a customer that they are serving, a certain type of customer or subset of customers. And the leadership of this team, it's a head of engineering and the head of product. So basically a person that is managing other managers, or some expert track engineers. So I know staff engineers, so people that are more senior than the senior engineer. Then we have the director of engineering. So director of engineering, it's managing directly other head of engineering, or I know very senior, like principal type of engineers. So this is I know the structure or why we have this title. But my responsibilities are basically together with my peer from product to define the vision for the whole motors unit, so everything that it's around the ecosystem, to look about the future, to give purpose to the people, because this is what we want to do, and then also to structure the organization in a way that we can grow the business as we want. What else? Basically, I have 3 different teams. So one, I have my direct team. Then I have the leadership team inside the PDT, so product data tech organization. So here we are looking at the whole team with no matter what are the roles inside. And then I have the motors leadership team. So here we are shaping the future of the whole unit, of the whole business. So here my peers are not only my peer from product, but I also have commercial peers, like commercial leaders, or from finance, or from HR, and we are all reporting, or more or less all of us reporting to a general manager of the unit, or at least we were until one point.
And how many people are we talking about in these 3 areas as a whole?
In which one? Sorry.
Your direct team, and also in the other 2 areas, just to see the area of influence, how much your leadership influence spans across the organization. So
for example, for the motors leadership team, so for the motors unit, we have a representative from each of our brands that we are owning. So for example, we have one representative from the one commercial leader from Autovit in Romania, one commercial leader from Automoto, one commercial leader from Stan Virtual, one commercial leader for like Automoto Click. So all the brands that we have. Mm-hmm. Then we have so for now I think there are 5 commercial leaders, then 1 product, 1 tech, 1 HR, 1 finance, and the general manager. So we are about 10 people there. And inside my PDT team, so inside the product development team, we have 1 head of product, 1 head of engineering. So for each of the tribes that we always have the pair of product and engineering. I have my product peer, and then we also have a design lead, a data lead, and them too. So those are again 6 plus. We are all also about 10. So I think this is like kind of the magic number that we have.
And your role as a technology leader at Pentalog, we are talking a lot about this responsibility called the translator role. So we talk with various stakeholders, various people. Not all of them are understanding technology as we do. And how much of your role, is it about translating technology opportunities to business and business to technology team? How much, I don't know, maybe you some average time you spend in this area, and some advice you give also for other technology leaders that might be in the audience?
We are building products for our customers, and I think that here is the main thing, it's customers. We want to be customer centric. We want to build something that they love, and technology, I see it as a mean to an end. So the end goal, we are not a technology company, so we are not building technology. I know that other people are using, like we are not this type of company. Our main, we are building products. So basically our role here is to look at the business that we have, like and then use the technology to achieve those, or for the outcome that we want to have. Or the other thing that we are also doing is that we are looking how can technology can enable other type of business opportunities in the future. So sometimes we have to be proactive and in developing something that can help business grow, or maybe giving some other type of experience for the customers that maybe is not possible right now with the technology that we have. Sometimes we go the other way around. So we think what's best for our customers, and then we get the technology to set it in a way that we can deliver it. So most of the time it's a mixed conversation. We never stay only in the technology part of area. And one of our principles that we have is to look outside of our teams. So no matter if your functional team, it's engineering or data or whatever, we are always talking to each other. So by the way that we are also set up, like we are set up in a cross-functional way. And we cannot stay inside our bubble, because we are not going to create things that really matter.
And in terms of, I don't know, is there any particular challenge in being a translator and talk to, or the group is technology savvy and everyone speaks technology?
No, of course. So one of the things that we are always thinking is that when we are explaining to everyone in the organization what we are doing, we have to think how we can simplify it. So even a 5 years old can understand it. And maybe here, like, I'm exaggerating, because a 5 years old now knows way more than us, but maybe like think about how can I explain so my grandma can understand what I'm doing, or how. So it's very, very complex. So we always have to simplify the message that we have. The other thing that we had to do, and this is something that it's ongoing, we require like a lot of education, is to switch the mindset to everyone from output to outcome. And for example, when you are in sales or in customer support, maybe it's easy for you to think in output. So was it delivered? Yes or not? Or is it done? Is it working? Yes or not? But then we had to change this, and we had to measure the teams with their own metrics, and we also had to educate everyone else to ask the questions around the metrics. So this process is still ongoing, of course. So instead of asking like, is that feature done? Is that okay? Well, is that feature being used? Is that feature being useful? Like how much growth did we have there? Like what is the impact of the things that they are building? But that's why we also have the commercial leader that started to learn a lot about product. So this is an ongoing transformation that we are still having.
And in terms of partnership with the executive management in general, with the executive board, with the executive officer, with the CTO in the group, is that an important part of your job? How much time do you spend doing this?
So in terms of group, we have like a group level CEO and the group level CTO. Currently, I started to report to the group level CTO. So this is something that is more recent, because before I was reporting to the general manager. But the structure that we have in the unit, it's like a reflection of this C-type of roles. So commercial leaders, product leaders, general manager, but maybe like at a smaller scale. So, and then we have this for the other units, and then we have this at the group level. And with the current CTO, like since I'm also reporting with to him, like we have like very regular meetings, like weekly weekly working meetings, weekly one-on-ones meetings, and then we also have like different type of opportunities inside the organization, like different parallel projects that are happening, where we are in contact with the group leadership team.
And with the CTO at the group level, is it more operational, more strategic, more vision? What are you talking about with him?
It's a mix of everything, because he's pretty new in the organization. So it's from onboarding him and explaining like what we are doing and why we are doing the things that we are, but then also like working on specific topics on how to unify hiring across Europe, for example, or how to build something that's that maybe like we didn't have before. So we are always starting like these projects that can get us closer to where we want to grow, or starting like new units. And so it's a mix of operations and like maybe like long-term view.
I'm going to go to a hard question, Aniela. So because we are talking about things happening at the highest level of your organization, and there is something puzzling many leaders in technology about governance. We see governance as efficiency management. So how efficient is something we do? So we take the decision, how efficient was the implementation of that decision? We say we do a specific role, how efficient is the implementation of that role? So first question, is governance still relevant from your point of view? Is it still important? And then what can you say about what's happening in your organization in governance and efficiency management, and a bit of advice for our audience?
Yeah, so actually it's very, very important. And why? Because when the team is pretty small, it's something that's maybe you don't need it as much, because it's very easy to have a feeling or to know what's going on. But if we are looking at our today's reality, where we have blended ways of working, so people that are home first or office first, or people that are distributed in different locations, it's very hard to understand exactly how efficient we are. So for that, we have to measure. And for example, we are measuring 3 different things inside my organization. So one, we are measuring the team efficiency, and for that we have like a set of metrics for that. Then we are measuring our systems, and the third thing that we are measuring, it's employer engagement. So we know how we are doing, and if we are if the people are also like okay while they are doing these things. So for example, for measuring the team efficiency, we are looking at 2 different things. So we looked at the Dora metrics. So those are the metrics that the DevOps accelerator they propose. Like they have like years of research, and every year a new report is coming out. So we know how we can have like a benchmark with the industry. We can also have a benchmark with ourselves. So we are measuring the lead time for change. We are measuring how many deploys we are making. We are measuring how much time do we need to recover from an incident, and how many failed deploys do we have. We chose to be in the elite level, and we continue there. But basically, we are measuring everything there. Other metrics.
Yeah. So please finish. Please finish. I have something about Dora metrics, but please.
No, but I was going to other metrics. So if you want, you can. Ask me about Dora.
Yeah, so I was thinking, and please, audience, if you have questions, go for it, because for me, my head is all these questions. So Dora metric is also something that we are running at Pentalog, and we are looking to put it as a standard in everything we do with our customers. And it reminded me when you were talking about DevOps and agility, and it seems like in the last surveys, there are those who say we are full DevOps mindset, culture. No one is saying we are agile and we are not DevOps. So everyone is saying if we are DevOps, we are also agile. And there are those who say we are DevOps, but not necessarily agile. So Dora metrics is in this space of DevOps and things like this. How did it come? How did you arrive at Dora metrics? Was it on the DevOps continuous improvement, or was it more like from the efficiency, like Scrum Masters proposing this, or for the developers? Who triggered this? How did you?
Yeah, so we were looking at different set of metrics that we could have to measure the efficiency. And we looked it from DevOps. We also looked it from the teams, like from Agile type of perspective. And then when we did some research, like we found out about these metrics. We analyzed them, and then we saw like a lot of people inside this industry are using them. And actually, like I've been to a conference, like an infrastructure conference a few years ago, and half of the talks were about this, about how you can measure efficiency. And
can you name it? Can you name the conference so that people know?
There isn't anymore. It was one from O'Reilly, but they stopped Velocity, I think, from O'Reilly. But it was the last time that they were running that conference.
Okay.
And the majority of the people, like, they either built something that was pretty similar to this, or they were already getting to the conclusion, yeah, we tried different ones, but actually we came up with to these 4 metrics.
That was the first part of the question. And then, do you think that there can be real DevOps without agility, or are there any difference? For me, they are the same, one and the same. Agile, DevOps is the same thing. But I'm wondering, what's your opinion about it?
How we are also applying agility in the team. Like for me, agility is something that we can track, we can measure, like we can learn, and then we can adapt. So it's pretty similar to DevOps. And then I know DevOps, it's giving you this wide range of looking at the problem. So it's a mix of all. I wouldn't separate them.
Okay, so don't separate them. They are the same culture, huh? Just that one is in the infrastructure and development field, and there is a bit more in Agile. So now you can go back with the other indicators we were talking.
Yeah, so for the other things that we wanted to measure for the teams, for that we chose Flow, but probably there are like other tools that can do the same things. Basically, we wanted to see how we are spending our time. So if you are spending our time in working on legacy code or working on new code. And then the other thing that we wanted to see is how do we collaborate. So and the collaboration for engineers is through pull requests. So so here, for example, we can see how much time does it take to review a pull request, or who are the main pull request reviewers, or so. But basically, for that, we just wanted to see how the teams are interacting. And the main idea for this is that when we are having this kind of data, we can also make some decisions that have some data behind. So, for example, we see that the lead time for change started to increase at one point. So then we started to look what's breaking here. So is it the test that we are running? Is it the pipelines that maybe they have some problem? So then we can really act on that. Or we take a lot of time to recover from an incident. And then we see where is it happening? What can we do to improve? And actually, like when I was looking, because you have different set of or different levels of team efficiency. So low performers, mid performers, high performers, elite performers. And what we saw is that over the time, the higher performers, so the elite performers, start to get big, because when you start to measure it, then you're going to take action. So.
Okay. Any particular advice from what you said to the audience?
I think that's the main thing is to start to measure it. And one thing that one of my colleagues was saying is that we are data driven, we are not data blind. So we are taking data just for us to help us to make decisions, but it's not something that we are taking to punish someone or just to use it blindly and without any type of context. So even, I don't know, the part that looks a bit, I know, scary, if you're just looking at how do we communicate to pull requests, like we don't want to this is not used for punishment, but we want to identify, for example, bottlenecks. So, for example, I know one engineer, it's always asking the same the same person to review their pull request. So then we think, okay, we see that that's a problem. If that person goes on holidays, then it means that there is nobody that knows the context. There is nobody that can help the other engineer. So then we can take some measures into onboarding maybe another person in that project, just to avoid problems for the future.
Great. I will get back with the onboarding questions and things like this. One last question about the C-level and the highest level of decision making. About decision making in general. So many organizations struggle and they take many decisions, but most of them are lost. We don't know if they are implemented. Expectations are already there because we took the decisions. And there was this idea of why not limiting the number of decisions of the board level or the highest level, so that we give space and time for people to implement those decisions. So that was an idea in some of the sessions we had previously. And of course, limiting the decision is also a decision, but decision that ask people to do more work or initiatives. What can you say about it? What's your opinion about it?
So one of the things that actually came out with in our latest engagement survey was about decision making. So decision making is fast and effective in my organization, and this score wasn't the highest. And then we saw that it was pretty recurrent in most of the teams. So this is on the top of our goals for everyone this year to make it better. And how we approach it, we want to give people autonomy and ownership so they can make the decision in their own scope. So they cannot, so they don't have to, they are not blocked by making decisions, because if you're not giving those kind of boundaries, then you also have like the decision paralysis, and that's also not good, because then it means that things are not moving. In engineering, one of the things that we did, we created or we set up for ourselves a RACI framework. So who is responsible, accountable, informed, or consulted about the decision. We mapped all of our type of decisions. So from the team level, and then growing inside the organization, and then who are the people that usually are being involved in, like what are the roles in the organization. So engineers, managers, like a group of teams, or I know maybe guilds, or other type of communities. And then we map them. Where do you have accountability to make this decision? What are the decisions that you can be informed of, or what are the decisions that you need to take by yourself? So basically, each one that wants to make something, they just look at these metrics, and they have their own space where they can be very autonomous into making decisions. If so, they are not only like this, you're also going to get or take the pressure away from maybe contributing to something that maybe it's out of their scope. If they want to, they can, but it's not required from them. Also for the engineering, because well, I have to talk about that. We are making lots of engineering decisions. So what we are doing, like we are documenting everything. So we are creating all the teams when they are making any type of engineering decision, they are making requests for comments. And then we have a team that's officializing those requests for comments into architecture decision record. So like this, we have like we document all the decisions. So we have it's also for everyone to understand like why a decision was made, what was the impact of that, and of course all of them can be challenged, but at least like you also have the history behind, and then you can see what are the things that you can change, so in order to change that decision.
Okay, so for the audience, I'm just putting some keywords when Aniela is talking, so RFC, ADR, architecture decision record, and things like this, so that it's easier for you to, I don't know, Google it afterwards. if you weren't aware about it. We have a question from Emil Moise, who's asking, what's your recommendation in regards to the maximum number of engineers that should be in one's engineering manager team?
What we saw is that usually like a manager can manage efficiently like around 6 to 8 people. When you have more than this number, it's going to be very, very hard to manage them, because first you need to be aware of their work, and second you need to be able to manage their career. So you need to make sure that they are growing. Plus, you have the other responsibilities that are that you have with your role. I know some kind of like technical type of leadership, or maybe in our case, like you have the product peer that you are talking to. So everything around business. So what we are seeing is that more than 8, it's almost impossible for someone to have. So as soon as they get to, like usually we go a bit around 6, then we start to think, okay, this team maybe is big enough. And then we split the team into more.
Very interesting, because there's also a magic number that we were seeing a lot. Is if you are going to have more than 9 people, that's very hard. It needs to become, you're going to struggle in collaborations. There were lots of, there was some research about it, and that's also usually the advice, not more than 9 people. So it's between 6 and 8. So Emil, I hope it answers your question. Thank you, Aniela. And I will pursue with my my checklist. So you've talked about engineering a lot, and now we are in more like 360-degree technologies kind of questions. And because you talked about engineering and ops, and there's lots of shift left happening. So we've learned along the way, said, well, testing is important, let's do that early. Ops is important, let's do that early. Let's put people in the team. Security is important, let's put that early in the team. But in a sense, how many things can we put early in a team? Like you said, 6, 8 people. If you put the tester, if you put ops, if you put security engineers, and new things are coming. We are talking about many other things. What can you tell about it? Where do you think we will end, in a sense? We need to do something about it. We can't add 1 person per specialty, per domain. There is a limit in these 8 people.
Yeah, so how we are doing it is that we are looking at the teams and what is the mission of that team. So we have teams, for example, I know a platform pack that it's managing, pipelines and maybe other components that are shared between other teams. So we know, I know this will be, maybe backend heavy, or we have teams that are maybe more focusing on front end. So then those teams won't have like all the set of engineers, like they just have the set of engineers that they help them achieve the mission the full time. And the rest of the engineers, they are there as a bit shared. What do I mean by shared? So for example, we have SREs. So the SREs, not always they are embedded in a team, because a team might not have the need of having an SRE 100% of the time. So they are, but they are part of like a group of SREs. They have work on their own, but they are aware of what the team that they are paired to is doing. They are participating in some of the ceremonies, but not in all of them. And they are there on a need basis. So when there is a need, they are included in the sprints from the beginning. When there isn't a need, a very huge need, like they are acting almost like service provider, because you cannot, if you're putting an SRE in a team that's focusing on front end, maybe he will spend, 90% of the time not doing anything. So we need to be very flexible on how we are using all the engineers. So I know we have teams that have data engineers. We have lots of teams that don't have data engineers.
So in a sense, is it a gut feeling, or is it?
I wouldn't say it's a gut feeling. It's more the team has to have like a very clear mission. So we are setting up the mission, and then the team, it's when a new team is being formed, the main people that join that team, it's a product manager, and then an engineering manager, because first we have to have like a very clear mission and why, and to understand why they are doing what they are going to do. After this is set, they are pairing up and they are figuring out what do we need, also like in terms of resources, in terms to work on that mission. So it's when they are going to figure out what they need. Of course, this is not set in stone, because they can figure out at one point that maybe they're going to work more on an area or another area. So then they will make that request, and then they are adding more team people in the team.
Okay. Thank you for that. We have other questions. That's just, I was looking in the chat, and there's also the Q&A module I was looking at. So from Javier, sorry for spelling it wrong. In what platforms are we able to sell our products, and how easy is to get or purchase a product? How many clicks?
I'm trying to understand.
The message was like this. For me, I think. But let's take another question. And Javier, please rephrase that a bit. And we'll go to another question. At what level are you in the Dora metrics? What is the frequency of your deliveries, for example?
Yeah, so we have been for a while in the elite level. So this is where we wanted to be, and then this is where we want to stay. What does it mean? It means that we can deploy at least once per day. So we are able to deploy as much as needed. Actually, I had like a number from the last year, but this is like from in 2021 we had 2.3K of product releases. So this is the number of deploys that we had last year. So if you are dividing it for 365 days, like it's way more than once per day that we are deploying, because we have like all the automatic deploys. It's easy if we want to revert, we make it very, very easy. Like we are using feature flags, so things can be turned on and off. So we try to make it very easy for people to send things to production. So we shorten the feedback loop.
Another question is, what other engineering metrics besides Dora metrics are you using in OLX engineering metrics?
So we are measuring other things in our platform. So we are measuring, I know, our level of security, our level of compliance. We are measuring our cost efficiency. So there are like many other things that we are looking for the engineering. And then of course for people, we are measuring their engagement. I think that's, or I know, their well-being. So we have different surveys that we are sending out, and we are measuring. Okay. And for the product, of course, we have lots of metrics, business metrics for the product.
Yeah, so in anything which is coming from the outside world, like a standard?
So I was saying that we are using the flow metrics. It's a Pluralsight flow, but those are not actually like measuring ourselves with they are not really doing benchmarks. So we are just measuring with ourselves.
Okay.
But those are like, as I said, like those are the metrics that we are looking to see where we are, where we are spending our time, in what type of code, and how we collaborate. Like basically we are using it for those two. Okay,
Alexandra, I hope you got your answers. I will go to someone else's questions and then back to your questions, Alexandra, because very happy to see there are some. A question from Oscar. How do you assess the performance of individual developers in your teams? Easy question.
Yeah, easy question. We set goals for everyone inside the team. So at the beginning of the year, we have part of the goals are business goals, because we are whatever we are doing has an impact on the whole business. We have some functional goals, so like a generic goals that I know can help us to achieve the strategy that we want for that year, and then we have like very individualized goals. So for that individual goals, each person, like each engineer, it's creating a personal development plan with their manager, and they are working on achieving their personal goals across like during the whole year. And at the end, like 2 times per year, like we have like 2 official times where we are evaluating these goals.
And is there any particular structure like OKRs you are using, or doesn't matter?
Yeah, we are using OKRs, but we are not connecting the OKRs to the individual goals, because we are using OKRs as a way for the teams to plan their work. So I know a team has a mission, a certain mission, they have certain metrics that they chosen to measure themselves to achieve that mission, and then every quarter they are defining their objective and their key results, well, we want the OKRs also to be a bit ambitious, so that's why like we are really disconnecting the OKRs from the individual performance.
Okay, Oscar, I hope you got your answer. A question from Christian Theodor. OLX are actually colleagues of IMAG. I see both brands are owned by Nespers. I don't know if that's a question you, yeah?
Yeah, so OLX Group, it's a part of a process that's part of Naspers. So basically, it's a group that is inside another group, and it's inside like a bigger group. So Process, it's based in Netherlands. Naspers is based in South Africa. So yes, EMAG, it's part of it. Udemy, it's also part of it. Stack Overflow, it's part of it. So maybe like lots of maybe brands that we are using that's are also part of our mother companies. It's not part of OLX Group, because OLX Group, it's purely on classifieds. EMAG, it's already e-commerce. But we are part of the same organization, yes. And we have free access to Udemy, by the way.
Another question from the same person, Christian Theodor. What cloud provider are you using?
We are using AWS for the majority of our products. Like we have Google, but just for just a tiny bit of our operation, like the main provider, it's AWS.
Okay, I hope, Christian Theodor, you're satisfied with Aniela's question. And again, a question from Javier, because we have it in our scope UX, on which platforms are we? I think there is, I've missed something, Javier. Maybe there is something with the conversation in the chat. I don't get the flow. Sorry. I try to answer it, to ask all the questions. If you can rephrase that, I'd gladly ask further. Let's go to another question from Alexandru. What agile scaling framework are you using in OLX, and why? Is it implemented by the book?
Actually, like when we started with by the book Scrum a long time ago, but it was just like for a moment until every team was set at the same level. And then we left to the team like a lot of flexibility. So we really don't care about how they organize inside, as long as it's something that it works for them. What we want to achieve is, I know, the agile principle. So this is what we want to have. I know, people over processes. Like we want to learn. We want to get better. But then how everyone is applying, that's not is not very important. So I know the Scrum Master, for example, we don't have Scrum Master inside the organization. So this is a role that anybody inside the team can take it. So it's very flexible in terms of in these terms.
So I've captured your answer, I hope. So you started from Scrum, that aligned everyone, and then you said evolve from there, and you trust the teams, they choose their own methodology that suit better for their goals.
Exactly.
Okay, And anything for keeping all these teams in sync and collaborate efficient, like large scale?
So for that, we have OKRs. So we are running OKRs for the organization. So this is how we are looking at the quarter, and we are identifying, you know, blockers or bottlenecks or risks. It's by using the OKRs.
Okay. So Alexandra, I hope you've heard that. Okay. So one other question from Ionuț. I hope I have time to also ask more questions. Hello, I understand the role. I understand how you are doing things inside the company, how you set up goals and the responsibility level of the team. I would like to know how it feels for her to be in that position. How is it, the work-life balance for a director?
I think that the work-life balance, it's very, very important, because if we don't have that, like, we are not able to function, because of course there are like many topics that we have, but we need to be like very well on prioritizing them. And then also to make sure that, I know, when we are on holidays, we are on holidays, when we are working, we are working. And for that, it means that you really need to trust your team, and you need to be able to delegate topics to them, and always to create second lines, because when you are creating second lines, it means that you can grow, you can move to your next role, but then you can also have, I know, quiet holidays. I know when I'm going on holidays, for example, I'm disconnecting my workplace, because I have the same phone. I don't see any email, I don't see any Slack message, I don't see anything. And the other thing that it's helping is that I have my accountability partner here. So I have a dog, I have a pandemic dog. Like, I think that me and, I know, 90% of the population, we got a dog during the pandemic. So then it means that at the end of the day, I have to go out and take her to a walk, because if I'm not doing that, she's going to be here, like, I know, on top of my computer, like, just go out. And when I do that, it means that when I'm returning home, like, I'm not going to open my laptop, I'm not going to answer anything. So I'm going to let everything for the next day.
Yeah. So I think anyway, you've nailed it in a sense, because there's lots of burnout in this space, technology leadership. So you go out, you have to go out, you disconnect during the weekend. So I try to capture all these sensors in the chat.
Yeah, like, especially right, I know, for the past 2 years, when we had to adapt to a new ways of working, and now people are going back to the office, or you are going back to other type of exhaustion. We need to look at the whole life. Like, we don't only have like a work life, we also have, like, I know, we need to be healthy, we need to have like good connection with our family. So we need to have all of this. If we don't have it, like, something will break. And that's why it's important also to look at the engagement of the team, or the well-being of the team, because if something is going wrong in one side, like, you will see it in every other aspect of their life.
Yeah, and thank you, Ionuț, also for the question. Yeah, great thoughts there, Aniela. And by the way, there is also a series, CTO Fundamentals, available on pentalog.com, and the last episode of it, called The Better CTO, is focused on this, work-life balance, and how important is that. If you want to go further, I strongly invite you to do so. How does it work with I know, is there someone accountable at the highest levels in security for you?
So we have a security lead, yes, like a head of security for the European organization, for example, in my case.
And is someone different in privacy, or the same person?
No, it's the same person.
The same person. And this person managed to work with all of you?
Yeah, but think about, like, how they are working on, like, they have tooling, so they build automatic tools. And then they are running programs, like a lot of trainings, like a security trainings. And then we also have security champions inside the teams. So we don't have like, dedicated security engineers inside the teams because we just have like a few, but we have these security champions that sometimes these are, staff engineer or like a backend engineer or maybe like a front-end engineer, somebody that is more excited about this role.
And how does a security champion look like? Is it more like a hacker kind of person, or is it more like all knowledgeable in protocols in security, so helping like a security engineer more? In terms of philosophies, they tend to be a bit
no, it's more on like understanding like how we can build secure software. And when we find out vulnerabilities inside our software, to help the teams to solve them as soon as possible.
What can you tell us about assessment? How do you filter before recruiting? How do you assess the people during that moment? And how do you keep your colleagues relevant in a sense in the market?
So we have a global hiring process. And why? Because since the team is pretty big, we had to design something that can enable people to hire the best person and to have the same bars in all of the teams. Because if we would have left it for the teams in individual, like the bar would have been like very, very different. So that's why like we started that. So for example, we have hiring manager that is not for a team specific, but for a role. So we have, for example, a hiring manager for backend engineers. So there's the person that is hiring all the backend engineers, or maybe group of people that's from trainees to, I know, staff principals, or the same with front end and native apps and etc. So somebody that really gets to know the role. And the steps of the interviews, we have pool of people. So we have pool of people that are in those interviews for each steps. So you might, when you're going to interview process, like sometimes like you're like in the one step, you talk to someone from a team, then another then in the next steps with somebody from another team. At the end, we have a feedback loop. The team is the team that was inside the interview. They are giving like a go, no go. And then we make the decision together if we are going to hire that person or not. When the person is hired, then depending on the priorities that we have in terms of, the needs, or in terms of like the generic needs, the person will go to that team. So basically just to reduce any type of bias that we can have. So everyone has the same level. And then what we also have, like we have a career framework that's mapping out like how you can grow on the expert track, how you can grow on the managerial track, what kind of competency you can have on each of the steps. And this is the framework or the competencies that we are applying for the for the personal development growth for the people inside the company, but we are also having it mirror in the interview steps. So basically when somebody joins, already it's calibrated with the rest of the people inside the organization. And also to make sure that we have a growth for the people that we have inside the team, we have also internal movement. So I know just this month, the new head of engineering for car parts inside my team, he was promoted he was an engineering manager, but then he joined the company as a senior engineer. So like we have this place that people can progress inside the organization.
Okay, and so I understood how it works in principle. If there is one thing that you can give us advice for the audience in recruitment, in assessment, one thing. But your personal advice, not the generic process and approach that you think everyone should know about.
maybe there are like a couple of things. So one of them is to identify or to be very aware of the biases that we have. And we have biases not only on gender, but only on ethnicity, or also on location. So we see that is happening with a lot of people. And for example, I know one thing that I'm doing when I start to have an interview, like I put like a plus or a minus if I know the first impression that I had for that people was like very good or was very bad, because then I know that maybe the rest of the interview I will be influenced by that. That first opinion that I had on that person. So I can try to be like all the time like as unbiased as possible. But we have people that say, like, I know I had like one Polish engineer, and then he was having an interview for a Russian engineer, and then he mentioned that, like, I am very biased because I'm very close to the war, and I know that this person wasn't part of the war, but I started the interview right away with this bias in mind. So he put that, and then he assessed and say, I know he was like a good engineer, but they had to remind me like time and time again not to go into that path, because it's easy to go into a bias path. And the other thing is really like not to look at the CV as a checklist, because some people were in companies where they didn't have like opportunities on doing something, but just to understand like why they were doing what they were doing. Because if we understand the why, I know why they were, just executing and not challenging a decision that was coming from above. Like you can figure out that maybe that was a setup, or maybe actually they were doing something else, or maybe they care about quality, but maybe they weren't allowed, or they found out a way to do something that maybe it was a bit about outside their role. But really understand like why they were making why they made the choices that they made, why they went to the experience that they went.
Okay, thank you. I hope the audience will get value from this answer as well. One last question from the Q&A, Alexandru Lazarchuk, and then I will give you the word to do the closing, Aniela. So the question from Alexandru is, from a QA point of view, do you have a dedicated QA automation team or a mix of manual and automation? Thanks.
Yeah, so we have, we started to, at one point we had manual QAs. So in each of the team had a manual QA. What we saw is that at the end of the sprint, everybody was sending tickets to them. They had to manual test them, or we had, also like a manual testing team that was aside the organization that we were collaborating, and then started to become a bottleneck. And this is when we decided to switch. We chose a framework to run tests that's written in JavaScript, so it was easy for the engineers to write their own tests. So now basically all the engineers are writing the test, and the QA that we have inside the team, they moved at the beginning part of the process. So they are collaborating with the product managers, with the engineering managers at the beginning stage. So when they are creating the tasks, they are also helping them to write down the test case scenario. So then the engineers are going to implement them. So they moved in the first stage of the development, and we took them out from the end. So now, because quality is actually like it's a responsibility of everyone. So we try to make it as easy as possible for everyone to be accountable of that. So
from the last activity, it became in the earliest.
Exactly.
So Alexandru, I hope you've got your answer. Catch bugs before they occur. Yes, precisely. So there are still a few questions that we didn't answer, but from persons that we've answered at least 2-3 questions already. So I think it's a bit fine. Please don't hesitate to connect with Aniela and outside this webinar, this CTO talk. Before closing, Aniela, we have 1.5 minutes. If there is one last thing, the most important advice that you can give to the audience, the future technology leaders or the current technology leaders that are here with us, What is that?
I think that it's very important for all of us to know these technology leaders. And why I'm saying that is because I know the CTO or other type of technology leadership has a lot of different flavors. And I saw a lot of times like people saying like, no, I cannot be a CTO because I don't have that type of experience. But actually, like there are so many flavors of CTO that maybe you can be, but first you need to figure out what it is. And for that, you need to find, your role models, like mentors or someone that can explain you like what is the role, and then can take you and maybe like build you that confidence. And in the same way, like we need to be role models for the people that want to grow. So if we are telling our stories, what we are doing, why we are doing that, how we got there, then maybe also other people will see like, yeah, this is possible. This is something that I can also do. Or maybe they will say like, no, I don't want to do that because it's something that I really don't like, and they will be free to find their maybe their better path that they will be happier with.
Thank you, Aniela. It was a great session from my perspective. I hope the audience also found your answers valuable. At least I had. And who knows, maybe in a year or something, we will do it again and see if your answers changed. Huh?
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. Bye.